Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm gonna be giving you part 40, or better known as the end. Yes guys, the final episode of What If Naruto was betrayed by Hagoromo. First of all, I just want to thank you all for following me on this long journey. For all the comments, all the likes, all the grateful comments. I just want to thank you all guys. It's been quite the journey, yes it has. So I just want to say thank you all for following me in this journey. This is a second season for me to finish over here on Anime King 3, my personal channel. But you guys already know, don't be sad because new what ifs are coming up soon for you guys to enjoy. So just sit back, relax, and like I said, enjoy. And also guys, I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was an Elite Blue Eye Uchiha over on Anime King. So go ahead and enjoy that guys. Over on Anime King 2, I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Put Through Hell and Adopted by the Raikage. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And also guys, enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this last episode? Let's begin it. Start the intro. So the last recap for What If Naruto was betrayed by Hagoromo. So the last part we left off, as Hagoromo and Hamura didn't know why they were still alive. Naruto had slaughtered everyone else, but he kept them alive. Yes, they were still there, alive and breathing. It was rather confusing why they were still here. But they didn't know that Naruto had a plan for them. Well, he had a plan for Hagoromo. Hamura was not too much involved. At the very moment, Naruto was facing off against Momoshiki. The transformed state of Momoshiki would absorb Kinshiki. Their battle was triumphant and brutal, even knocking each other out to the depths of space, to the crevice of the earth near the core. Their battle shook the entire foundation. The earth was slowly being ripped apart here and there. Their battle was triumphant, it was deadly, it was destructive. The Battle of Gods. Momoshiki released a exploding blast that would have swallowed the entire earth in a chaos rain explosion. But Naruto blocked it and sent it right back at him. Momoshiki was steaming to his core as he panted, looking at Naruto, who had a few scratch marks here and there. But other than that, he was fine. As Naruto seemed a bit winded as well, because the battle had took a strain on him for once. But he had enjoyed every single minute of it. Meanwhile, at the Otsutsuki Empire, as that was going on, the girls there on the roof, who were watching the entire display, didn't even hear it, but they felt it though, as it was then that he came inside of the dome that was created to protect the people. It was none other than Jigen, as he told them that he's sorry but they were needed, because for some reason he spoke rather politely, as he took them away, as Naruto didn't know what was going on. When Naruto was finished, no one actually knew what he did with Momoshiki, because you did not see him actually kill him, but he did do something, however. As Naruto saw Urashiki, but Naruto was a bit tired, as he told him that he will come after him soon enough. Urashiki decided not to chance it, as he just floated away. Some would say this was a coward move, but knowing that you're completely outgunned, you should retreat. So with that, Urashiki made his way off. As Naruto returned, as he saw Hagoromo and Hamura, he wasted no time as he killed Hamura. It was a chance of sparing him, because he sealed away Hagoromo, a design that him and Karen had worked on with his chakra in place, as he sealed Hagoromo in an unescapable prison, as he would make him suffer just like how he suffered as Hagoromo screamed, but there was no one there to hear his scream except for the copy of Naruto standing there, simply laughing. The people of the elemental nations that remained there, they bow. They bow as they realize there was no hope for them. This monster has destroyed everyone. As Naruto told them to return back to their homes, he will be there soon enough. As he stepped back towards his palace like a king that he was. But he could not sense the girls. He was angry. As he asked the others where the girls were, none of them had the closest idea. He found a note on top of the tower. On his tower, it was locations. He sped off the locations. That is where he met Jigen. The other Sasuke. Jigen was backed by Delta, Diba, and Boru. Naruto paid that no mind as they tried to attack him, but Jigen stopped him. As he told Naruto that he's too late. He then brought out the girl's body. He brought out Karin, Yujito, Teiwaya, and Guren from a time rift. They were dead. As Jigen tried to break Naruto's spirit because he wanted to take Naruto's body. Who would be the better host for him than a half of Sasuke that can maintain his immense power? But first he needed to break Naruto's spirit so there would be no fighting against him. As he knocked Naruto down, Naruto was hearing a voice in his head. A rather dark, demonic voice. That wasn't a Ten Tails, it was something else that wanted to be released. Something that has been confided, locked away for too long. As Naruto seemed to have lost hope. As he just looked at the bodies, his mind seemed to be broken. But what Jigen didn't know was that he had done something horrible. He had signed his death waiver right there and then. Because something was coming to the surface. And it wasn't Naruto at all. It was something else. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So to begin this new episode, a scream of terror could be heard. A scream seemed to rip from his throat as he cried out to the heavens, praying for relief, begging for death. It was none other than Naruto Sasuke. He was locked away, locked in the prison that Hagoromo placed him in, as we're currently in a flashback of the past. While Naruto was sealed away, the place was an empty, scorched ground. The ground seemed to have been scorched over and over again. It was crumbling away. Tight chains, thick red chains, bind Naruto's hands tightly. They bind every inch of his body. They were trying to literally pull him apart, to disable him down to his core, to break his chakra up. That is how Hagoromo designed the seal. As Naruto was trapped inside, he cried, "Kill me. Kill me," he prayed to the heavens, begging for someone to end his suffering. He's been in here, the time frame was different. It felt like millennia. He prayed, he screamed to the heavens, screamed to the gods, as he wanted someone to kill him, to end his existence. He prayed, he begged, he cried, but nothing he did. Nothing. He started to slip as his sanity started to break. Naruto Sasuke once warned Hagoromo when he first came back, when he first emerged, that if it was the other half of him that came out, he wouldn't like it. He was just lucky that Naruto Uzumaki came first. Because without Naruto Uzumaki, something was gonna come out. Yes, and you guys will know why soon enough. As Naruto screamed, he just continued to scream until his throat was dry. His body, his chakra slowly being ripped apart from his core. He felt weaker and weaker and more tired. He could barely move, he could barely stand. The pain was immense. As he was just locked away, unable to find any hope of peace, any asylum. He started to talk, but there was no one there. Naruto's mind has fractured. It had broken into hundreds of little pieces. Yes, it completely broke. As he was talking to himself. Standing there in front of him was a completely different Naruto. His eyes were black. Black renegons. As he had a cruel smile on his face. Long black hair that reached down into his back. He was shackled as well. But he was able to move around, but his wrists were locked up. And that's what we're gonna do. The Dark Naruto said, we're gonna kill them. We're gonna tear them apart. This entire world. Once we're freed, we're gonna kill them all. We will make Hagoromo and Hamura suffer for them locking us away by killing every single human. We will bathe in their blood and their agony and their screams. As Naruto talked with his other half, his mind completely corrupted and broken. He didn't even know that he was even talking to himself. And that's how it went for millennia to him. It was like millennia after millennia passed. And that dark half of him just got stronger and stronger. The more chakra that was built, it was split. Half of it going into the original, and half of it going into that decrepit, wicked, cruel Naruto, who would just have blown the entire world to smithereens once he was freed. As half of that chakra kept on fueling into him as well, the other half going into Naruto Osusuki that we know. Things went on like that for a long while. Hagoromo had mistaken for sealing Naruto away, because doing so, he had made Naruto chakra continue to grow and get stronger and more powerful. But the thing about it was, that was not everything that Naruto had. Half of his chakra has been fueling into the other half. And that half just wanted malice. It just wanted chaos and pain and suffering and death. And that is how it went. The only reason why the world did not blow up the moment Naruto Osusuki was released was because of Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto Uzumaki had woke up first because Naruto Osusuki was still sealed. That gave Naruto 12 years. 12 years to reconnect his mind, to patch it back from piece to piece. And that is how he was able to stabilize himself. He placed the unstable Naruto in the back of his mind, far away. Because despite him wanting to make Hagoromo and Hamura suffer, he did not want to blow up the world. He deserved to rule and be the god of this world, not tear it to cinders, not blow it up and exterminate every life force on it. Some will die, but not all. But as the time went by, Naruto gaining family, Yujito telling him that she was pregnant, the baby, everything, it started to cool Naruto's soul. Dark Naruto started to get weaker and weaker until, as we escape to the present time, as Naruto's eyes were on the bodies of the ladies there, where he saw them dead. He didn't have a sexual relationship with Karen like the others, but Karen, the girl was smart. Not to mention she was nice. More nice to him than everyone else. She saw him as, strangely, a figure of power and authority. She listened to his every words without a second thought, like everyone did, but she took it to the extreme for some reason. As Naruto watched their bodies, his mind went cloudy and white. He found himself on his knees in his mind. That is when he came. The darkness in front of Naruto's white vision started to blur as hands emerged. Legs, torso, arms fully came out of the darkness. I see your back, the decrepit form of Naruto said, as his smile was wicked. There was no hinges at his jaw. It was just wide. A decrepit smile. His eyes were beaming with nothing but death and destruction, chaos. He stepped forward as the Naruto that we know, Naruto Osusuki, with his mind at the moment completely blank of losing those girls. Seeing their dead body in front of him, and he knew that he had to face Shinigami to get back their souls. As Naruto knew that it will take a long time for him to reach the power that Shinigami wield. So going up against the beast now would only cause him death, but he couldn't live without them. Knowing that Yujito was pregnant, and knowing that the other girls would be pregnant soon enough for him to have a family because he has been changing lately, that was the thing that kept Naruto going. That was the thing that caused him to fight for everything, his family. Yes, he was fighting for family. But now his mind has been literally broken to pieces. And who was gonna fix it for him? Dark Naruto. Once again you were wrong. Once again you were stripped of everything you had. Once again this world took everything away from you. This time, will you let it escape? Will you let it win? Or will you make it pay? As Dark Naruto extended his hand. As Naruto's hand did not move but darkness. Literal darkness started to rise his hand. Before his hand dropped right in the palm of Dark Naruto. The smile on Dark Naruto's face was just gleeful. Nothing but bliss and happiness. As the both of them merging their power in together, bringing everything out to the forefront. Naruto has been weakened from his battle with the others, fighting for the entire day, facing off against Tentail Madara, the shinobi forces, facing off against his two brothers, facing off against Mito, facing off against Sasuke, facing off against the other Osutskis, being sealed away in Itachi's world, being sealed away by his sister and Sasuke and the others. Naruto was weak, but Dark Naruto. With the two of them merging, it brought out everything that he possessed. Meanwhile, back on the Earth, what the hell's going on? Are we just gonna allow him to sit there like that? Asked Delta, as she didn't know why they were wasting time with this guy, when they could have taken what they wanted a long time ago after all. He's just sitting there, his head down. The sky literally ripped at that moment. A long rip in the sky. The atmosphere tore. Jigen looked up in the sky as he saw fire. Literal flames start to rain from the heaven. All over the elemental nation, scream could be heard. Even the Osutsuki Empire was being destroyed. Death and chaos as fire bristled. The hidden rain was swept with a firestorm that swallowed up everything. Annihilate the nation. Konoha. Acid started to pour from the sky. Literal acid rain. Anomalies. Earthquakes. Terrible tsunamis start to rise up from the depths of the ocean, swallowing the land. The mountain peaks at Kumo start to break down, slaughtering people. The inner stone start to break apart. The entire world was shaking. It was being destroyed. Force of nature itself was coming. It was ripping the earth to pieces. The core was spinning rapidly in the center of the earth, causing nothing but chaos and death. Jigen did not move from where he was though. As he narrowed his eyes at Naruto, he thought that he was able to break Naruto's will, but he was mistaken. Terribly so. As Naruto's hair fluttered out, it turned black. Black as night. His eyes glistened as they were dark. The circle in his Sharingans, they bulged. As all the commas came together and created one single comma in his eye. It was completely dark with a small circle of white in the center. A very, very tiny circle. As Naruto got to his feet, his head still hanging down low. Deba raised his hand. This guy's gonna tear the entire world apart if we don't stop him, he said. Small cubes form around him as they slammed into Naruto. But he did not budge. Jigen stepped back. Bring him to his knees, he said, as all of them moved forward. Delta was the first one to strike. Her speed catch up Naruto rather quickly as her body was glistening in that glow. She brought her foot around a powerful roundhouse kick. Naruto raised his hand. Boom! The entire valley shattered at the force of the kick at the hand, as it was like two steel walls meeting together. As she narrowed her eyes before bringing her other leg down, her other leg then changed into spikes, ready to skewer Naruto whole, but he then vanished. She felt something pressing up against her back as he was behind her. She twirled fast, her leg coming around in a smoothing motion to knock his head off his shoulders. But he simply ducked. He made it look like there was no effort in it, as Jigen just watched him. Her leg then extended, turned to that strange construction again, trying to pierce his skin. But Naruto's finger twitched as they were severed. She leaped away. She narrowed her eyes in rage as a beam started to form, before she fired it. Naruto raised his hand and slapped them away. She got up in shock. But how? He then looked towards her as he looked up in the sky, before he vanished. Boom! There was an explosion as a machine was destroyed. She looked up, but that was the wrong thing to do, as she saw darkness as her face was grabbed by Naruto. The beam started to form again, but Naruto's chakra started to push into her eye socket. She simply smirked as she would just absorb it all, but he kept on funneling it through her eye socket. It was then that Deba threw several of those small cubes towards him again. As Naruto waved his hand, a storm picked up behind him, blowing away Deba to the side. as Naruto's throat was then grabbed, the back of his throat as Boro, hold on to him. Get him the hell off me, said Delta. She could not move. As she found her body getting stiffened the more, he held on to her. Boro tightened his hold on Naruto's throat, but nothing, as Naruto was not reacting. He started to increase his chakra as he tightened his hold even more. It was then that Naruto raised his hand. Boom! A beam exploded right through Boro's stomach, blowing him clean open as he was thrown back. Delta started to scream as her insides were being fried before, boom, her body exploded into nothingness. As Jigen stood there and watched, his eyes down on Naruto. As Naruto stepped out of the smoke, Boro came brushing down towards Naruto. As an attack like that could not take him down. His fist caught back, he slammed it into Naruto's stomach. What he thought he did, as Naruto's hand had grabbed his fist. Naruto then tightened his hold as Boro dropped to one knee. The man raised the other fist and brought their own as Naruto slapped it to his side, before slamming his skull right into his. Blood exploded from Boro's skull. As the man staggered back, a boot slammed right under his chin, fracturing his jaw as he was sent sailing. Naruto then started to laugh. Finally, he said. What took you so long? He said to himself. Jigen was confused. Who was he talking to? Running on autopilot didn't feel too good. Finally you realize that you need me, don't you? But you're still here. But it doesn't matter, we want the same thing now, said Naruto. As he finally looked up, Jigen saw his eyes. Ah, Mr. Big Shot, I guess you're the last one. The boss. What happened to you? Jigen said. I kinda went through a change, said Naruto as he stepped out of the path of two spears coming towards him from Diba. Naruto sighed. Can we get down to the real fun, can we? You know I have places to go, things to destroy. Why don't we put on the real show? As Naruto looked up, two giant fists came dropping down on him. As Boro had transformed. The man had transformed as he was large. He was like an octopus with tentacles. He smashed the air several times with his fists, cracking the ground as he did so. You disgusting worm. You really think that you could best me? Boro blinked as Naruto was on top of his nose. As Naruto reached forward and ripped out the man's eyes, he literally plunged his hand and tear out the man's eye socket. Boro screamed as he flashed around. As Naruto pressed two fingers on his skull, a pulse of electricity went inside the man's skull and incinerated everything. It traveled through his body and destroyed his core. As his body dropped, Naruto blinked out of sight. Diba looked around before Naruto slammed his head together, using both of his palms, crushing Diba's head, breaking through his titanic body. As the man dropped to the ground dead. Finally, Naruto said. Your lackeys are over with now. I mean, let's get down to the real show. As Naruto looked towards the bodies on the ground. You know, you shouldn't put your trash everywhere. Trash? Said Jigen. Oh, you see, I don't care about them or anyone else. I've gone through a change, I've told you. You spoke to my... Well, I couldn't say other half because... Yeah, we're one and the same. But that's over with now. And I'm finally free after all this time. The things that he wanted to do for so long, but he prevented himself because he was having a wonderful life. I need to thank you. I mean, really. Would you mind telling me your name? Said Naruto. My name is Isshiki, said Jigen as he jumped down. Ah, Isshiki. Why don't you shed that skin of yours and let's fight for real? Or perhaps you want me to... A black staff came in Naruto's hand as he twirled and threw it. Jigen tried to shrink it, but Naruto's eyes pulsed. Jigen was shocked as he moved out of the way. The staff barreled through the earth, ripping out a titanic trench. What was that? Said Naruto. I wonder. I mean, all Otsutsuki's are unique in one way. So show me what you got. As Naruto moved, Jigen ducked as Naruto's feet passed over his head. The air, space and time itself rippled. At Naruto's speed, Naruto brought his leg down, Jigen jumped, boom! The entire air was blown to smithereens. As Naruto appeared behind him, his hand coming down, a black rod pierced into Naruto's palm. He looked at it as it didn't went all the way through, before he grabbed it and snapped it. He then threw it back at Jigen, who knocked it away with the other black rod. As he tossed several more at Naruto, who simply jumped back. Before shooting forward, Jigen blinked, his eyes moving a quarter of a second before feet slammed into his face, throwing him like a dog. As he smashed several times on the ground, he picked himself up only for a right hook to smash in his face, brutally throwing him right into a mountainside, his body breaking through it. His face was grabbed as Naruto tear his head right through the earth and launched him. He smashed down into a crater. Naruto then raised his hands to the heavens as a fireball, like the size of Konoha, was created as he threw it. Boom! The thing went off. It didn't only went off, it went critical. The explosion lighting up everything around. The earth trembled and shake. Destruction and chaos melted everything, disintegrating everything. As Naruto stood there in mid-air, it was then that he felt a power surge. Something pushing past his limits. The next thing he knew, he saw the smoke clear away, and standing there was no longer Jigen, but the big man himself, Isshiki Asusuke. His golden eye and his other Byakugan eye. He was dressed in a red cloak, red on the inside, white on the out. His horn going around his head, a small patch right there on his chin, and the commas running down in the center of his chest. His chest that was left open. There was nothing on his feet. As he looked towards Naruto, I must say, "You have proven to be stronger than I expected," said Jigen. As he looked towards Naruto, Naruto said nothing at all. He simply laughed. His laughter shaking the entire area. This was not Naruto who he was dealing with at first. This was not the Naruto that was seen at all. "Well, Isshiki," said Naruto, "shall we have some real fun?" Isshiki blurred out of sight. Speed that Naruto's eyes track as he appeared. Boom, their fists connecting together, cracking the earth. Once again, another turmoil run through the ground. Earthquakes getting more deadly. The firestorm blazing through the elemental nation. Death after death, Konoha was being trampled by meteors from the sky. The entire world, it seemed like it was about to end. Fire erupted from the ground as the two titans clashed. Lava emerged everywhere, burning down entire village and cities. The Asusuke Empire was being squashed as well. Death and suffering going through all out. Destruction, chaos, people were dying after another. No one was safe, the whole world was tearing apart. The more Naruto fought, the more sick his grin turned. Blam! Jigen was thrown. As he landed on his feet, he simply flicked a wrist. Several boxes was created in mid-air as he launched them down towards Naruto. Naruto caught the first one and the second one dropped right on it. The third one dropped and broke the ground on the Naruto, forcing him down, but Naruto's knees did not bend. He roared as he burst them to pieces, his engine spiking tore them apart. Jigen even looked surprised. He launched several rods towards Naruto, who twisted and grabbed two of them as he knocked away the others before launching the other two. Black engines seep around them as he threw them. As they moved through space and time itself, they seemed to vanish before Jigen's wings as they tear into his stomach, as he did not even see them because they had ripped through space and time there for a moment. Blam! He was kicked out of the air as he crashed into the earth. As Naruto laughed like a maniac before he came down, boom! He slammed his feet into the ground, right on top of Jigen's stomach. The man shrunk himself and appeared behind Naruto, a brutal kick, slamming into Naruto's back, throwing him forward. Jigen didn't waste no time as he delivered several sonic punches to Naruto's stomach. Blood came from Naruto's mouth as the man delivered a powerful right hook that sent Naruto sailing back. He lifted his hand as black rods, giant one, ripped through the earth and pierced into Naruto's skin. tearing through muscles and bones. They skewer Naruto as the man raises his hand even more as they burst through his body. Instead of crying out in pain, Naruto laughed. "Oh, I'm sorry," said Naruto. "I forgot to tell you. I don't hate pain. In fact, I love it," he said. As he screamed, all of the rods exploded from off of him. The next thing Jigen knew, he saw a shadow coming towards his face. As he shrunk himself, only for Naruto to smash his heel on the ground, destroying the area that he shrunk. But the man was already gone. Several more rods came at Naruto as he battered them away, with nothing but his bare hands. The man then reappeared in front of Naruto, right hook, going towards Naruto's face. Naruto slapped it away and ducked on the other left hook. He brought his hand up, but Isshiki knocked it to the side as Isshiki brought his leg around. As Naruto kicked it away, the both of them spin with emotion as they raise their hands. Fire exploded from both of their palms, burning in the center. As Naruto created a black staff before throwing it right towards the man's eye. He knew that he could not shrink that, as he simply vanished out of the way and reappeared. He appeared behind Naruto and slammed a black staff right into his skull, knocking Naruto back. Naruto staggered back before a staff slammed into his face again. And another, and another, and another. The man then stomped into Naruto's chest, launching him as he broke through a mountainside. He did not waste any time. "It's time I put an end to this," he said as he raised his hand to the sky. Hundreds, probably thousands of black rods were created. As he launched them all towards Naruto, they impaled the area, ripping apart the ground. Before he raised one hand, he knew that this would not kill Naruto as red energy started to seep from him into a ball as he launched it. Boom! Even he had to flew away from the explosion. As the entire valley was destroyed, it was gone. It was just wiped off the face of the earth. Jigen stood up in the air as the man looked down towards where the blackened, charred earth was. As Naruto was just lying there, unmoving, he knew that he was not dead as he raised a hand to the sky. As a strange container came from the sky that he was about to seal Naruto away in. The container went down and trapped Naruto as the earth rose up, trapping Naruto inside of it as it locked tightly. The man then lowered himself down to the ground as he looked at his hand, as he could see his life force, how it was going. Fighting like this did not do him any good at all, but it does not matter. Naruto is the perfect host, and once he cracked, the man blinked as he was confused. No, this couldn't be. Boom! The thing exploded. Jigen watched as Naruto was in the dead center laughing. "You really think that will hold me? Stupid Sasuke. Seems like you don't understand how this is gonna end." "How?" Jigen says. He finally snapped. How? How? The man said in rage. "How did I break free from your little container? Because I am Naruto Sasuke, and nothing can hold me, no one. I am a god, I am a being beyond comprehension. You are no one will ever hold on to me. So, let's finish this, shall we? Your fight is entertaining, but I want more. More death, more suffering, more chaos. That is why." Naruto raised his hands to the heaven. "I'm gonna destroy everything," he said. Jigen shot forward as Naruto dropped one of his hands and blocked Jigen blow. Jigen created a staff as he swinged it. Naruto grabbed the staff and yanked Jigen towards him before slamming his heel in Jigen's chest, throwing him like a bullet as the man skyrocketed through the sky, breaking the earth as he fell. As Naruto still kept on holding his hand up in the sky, as he pulled on something, he was pulling something. The place started to get hot, and even hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, to the point where everyone was sweating. The part of the planet that was closest was getting melted. The ice glaciers over the planet was melting away. Jigen looked up as he looked beyond the smoke. It was then that he saw it. It was the sun. As Naruto laughed like a maniac before he flew straight up into space. Jigen bent his knees as he flew straight up as well. The both of them going straight up in the sky, breaking through Earth's atmosphere. Jigen then saw it. Naruto pulled the sun. The sun was so far away, but Naruto had yanked it with great, tremendous force, pulling it straight towards Earth. How? How could one possess that power? As Naruto laughed, despite his body aching, but he loved every sensation of pain. It just made him want to fight more, make him want to kill more. Jigen knew that he couldn't stop the sun. This was a sun they were talking about. The planet needed sun to live, but right now, as Naruto dashed off, moving away from the destruction, Jigen had to move as well as he watched it. He could not save it. As the sun came closer, back at Konoha, Tsunade looked around her as there was death and suffering everywhere. The woman had given up. She didn't see any reason right now as it looked like the world was gonna end soon, when it started to get hot. To the point where she had to shred her hair as she was left in her white shirt, her ample bosom packed in her white shirt. She then looked up in the sky as she noticed that the sun was getting brighter and brighter. It was then it came a rush. The sun being so close to the earth, the flames started to ignite everything. Tsunade dropped to her knees, and just like that it was gone. The flames spread over the earth as her body turned into bones. Not even the bones remain. As the bones blew away into the dust turned into ash and vanished. Nothing, no one as the world exploded, swallowed up by the sun. Jigen turned, BAM! Naruto's feet smashed into his face, breaking several of his teeth as Naruto grabbed him by the ear. Naruto slammed his knees several times in Jigen's face. The man staggered back as Naruto dropped his hand right into the man's stomach. The man was launched like a bullet in space as Naruto raised his hands before yanking something as two planets intertwined. As Jigen was stuck right in the middle, boom, they exploded on each other, tearing, destroying as explosions and debris was everywhere. Jigen was falling as he had shrunk himself at the last moment, only for a feat that slammed in his entire body. Seeing that he was so small as Naruto had saw him with his eyes, the man was sent hurtling through space. As Naruto raised his hand, a black glow over the small Jigen. As Naruto was panting by this point, pulling two planets in the sun was not something easy, as his hands started to shake rapidly as Jigen tried to break the hole, but Naruto pulled him straight towards him. Jigen digressed as he turned back into his large form. Boom! Naruto slammed his hand to his stomach as he gripped onto Jigen's stomach. Jigen raised his hand slowly as he was still clothed in the controlled black mist of Naruto. He smashed it into Naruto's nose, breaking it. He grabbed Naruto by the face, trying to get out of the hole, but Naruto's hand was still holding on to his stomach, another hand holding on to his chest area. Jigen reached up as he grabbed Naruto's eye socket, as he tear its finger right into it, ripping Naruto's eye out of the socket, destroying it. But Naruto was not stopping as he laughed, the blood rushing down his face as he twists. He ripped it. Jigen's eyes went wide as Naruto ripped out his remaining life force, literally tearing his body to smithereens. Jigen tried to grab Naruto's other eye to stop him, but no matter what he did, Naruto held on to him tight, preventing him from moving back or moving at all. He screamed in agony and pain. Die, said Naruto. As Naruto pumped his rocket into the mix, Jigen screamed as the man's body started to crack. Black lines spreading across his face. As he screamed out to the emptiness of space, the man's body exploded. As the only thing that remained was his power. As Naruto forced his dominant chakra to try and hold it, but the thing was erratic. Naruto forced as he screamed to the unknowing of space. Screamed out his lungs, forcing out everything that he had as he concealed it into a tight ball. Naruto grabbed the small ball in his palm as he started to drift. Blood dripping from his eye that was floating. Despite his mind being a wreck and his body being exhausted, he did not move, he just float. He wanted to kill everyone. He wanted to tear the entire solar system to pieces. But his body was weakened to the point that he could barely move. It will take a while for him to gather back his energy. The earth was completely gone, everyone was dead. As Naruto tilted his head, the only thing on his mind was making everyone suffer, to tear everything apart. That was the only thing that he wanted. That was the only thing that he wanted. This is a part of Naruto that was completely broken. The part of him that only wanted death and chaos and for everyone around him to suffer. As he grabbed onto the orb and sapped some energy out of it so that he could actually move. But by sapping the energy, he felt something else. Interesting. He was gone. As he reappeared, he still did not have his eye. As he looked down towards the beast, the miniature tail tails that was growling at him. As Naruto had his one eye, before creating a black spear and shoving it right into the tail's eye, the thing thrashed around and cursed, roaring and trying to bite at him. Until it started to get smaller and smaller. All of its power started to get sucked into the spear, which came back to Naruto as a small spear. Naruto held out his hand as a rift opened up in front of him. He then reached in as he pulled out two objects. Two fruits. One of them was the Ten Tails, and one of them was the combined Momoshiki. As he looked at the orb from Isshiki, he then pushed everything together, forcing everything into one. A bright light enveloped everything. As Naruto stood there, left in his palm was a single apple. A strange but single apple. He opened his mouth wide. As he threw it inside, he swallowed the apple. He dropped to his knees as he wheezed and coughed. His eyes started to pulse even more. As his eyes got red, his entire body started to steam. He roared to the heavens before he exploded. A shockwave that went through the entire solar system. It went through the entire universe. His body literally exploded into pieces. The shockwave traveled through the dimension that Kaguya was in. The chain snapped as Kaguya's eyes shot open. The seal completely exploding. She was free. She then heard it. A call. He was not doing it on purpose, but she could hear his call. Calling out to her. It was her son, Naruto. Meanwhile, as the area, the dimension that Isshiki had stored the Ten Tails was gone, drifting back into space was the particles of Naruto. The particles of a new being that was going to be formed soon enough. As they started to slowly put back together, all the power wrapped up in one. As Naruto found himself near a lake, he was just sitting down. As he smiled towards his daughter, he was in a shorts, no shirt. Someone then hit him from behind. It was a punch as Naruto turned. He looked towards his son. Clear blue eyes looked at him, with a split in the center of his eyes. A silver split. He had long white hair like his father, going down to his shoulders. He wasn't wearing a shirt either, as he was wearing a small shorts. "I'm gonna defeat you, Dad," he said. As a little girl that was sitting in front of Naruto got up. "Stop hitting Dad," she said. She launched herself, knocking down her brother. "Dog pile," a voice said as another one leaped on top of them as he knocked all two of them down. Suddenly, they were all picked up by a wall of sand. As another kid was over to the side, all of them seeming to be around their one-digit age, but this one seemed rather older for some reason. As he pulled them over towards him in the sand. "I won," he said. The other's eyes pulsed as they exploded right out of a sand spear. As the three of them attacked him, it would be rather crazy to see three kids attacking one kid, not to mention they were throwing around fireballs and deadly water spears and wind attacks, but yet they were strong enough to take it all. As Naruto sat there, behind him, the mothers of the kids were watching. As Gurin was there, Yujito was there, and Teiwaya, and surprisingly, Haku. As she looked at him with a smile. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm fine," said Naruto. "Why do you feel so strange?" After all, he won. and he accepted everything. He was the ruler of the world. The girls came to love him and accepted him. Haku came over to his side. Snavi had chosen not to join the war, and Konoha was under his control, but still, he allowed Snavi to run things. But at least everyone knew that he was the leader. Suddenly water splashed on all three of them. A laughing Mito came out of the water with a big smile on her face. "I told you I didn't want to get wet," said Teiwaya. "Why are you guys on the shore? Come on," said Mito as she slammed her hand up of the water as it exploded outwards and swallowed all three of them. Naruto's eye twitched. "We were just trying to relax on the sand," he said. "But if that's how you want to play." Mito's eyes went wide. I'm sorry," she said, as a massive wave slammed right into her, throwing her in deep in the water. As the others laughed, she came out a second later, mumbling a bit. Over to the side was Sasuke, as he was laughing as well. "And what's so funny?" she said. Sasuke simply turned his head with a smile on his face. She walked up to him. "You better be on my side, mister. After all, Mom, Dad," as the both of them paused, as Sasuke was tackled by his little daughter and his little son. Everyone had grown, as all of them were in their late 20s now, with their kids. Why did Naruto feel so strange? Whistles could be heard as Tsunade was on the beach side as well, in a rather, revealing bikini, and giving the size of her chest. As many whistling came from the male side where the other guys were. Tsunade looked back at them with a glare, as Jiraiya turned his head, as he was writing his notebook hard. It was like he was rubbing the pencil inside the page. How hard he was writing, his nose bleeding. "My baby boy, I missed you," said the voice. Naruto blinked as he turned to see a white haze right there. He was confused. He got to his feet. "Naruto and all the girls said, 'What's wrong?' As Naruto was confused. Don't you guys see that?" he said. "No. What are you? It's not real. You have to wake up." "No!" a voice said. The sky turned black as black lightning rained off from the sky. But that shimmering white kept strong. "Naruto-kun, come to me." As Naruto started to walk, "You have to wake up." As Naruto started to walk, the girls and his family started to call him "Dad!" His daughter and his sons called out to him. But yet, "No," said Naruto. His mind started to shift and remembering things that he didn't understand. Remembering Yujito's death. "Naruto-kun." The white warmth enveloped him. A scream of agony could be heard as Dark Naruto appeared. "I won! I am the one calling the shots now. Enough of this." He slapped away the white warmth and grabbed Naruto by the throat. He slammed Naruto into the earth, destroying the entire beach. Everyone was gone. The water turned into blood as he kept Naruto down. "Naruto-kun, fight back. You're the only one that can do this. Do not let him win. Do not let him beat you. Fight back," the voice said. As Naruto looked around, the hand still on his throat. "You were broken. You lost. You needed me. Do not return back to that. We need to wreak havoc. We need to cause destruction and chaos." As Naruto looked around, the memories of what he just saw flashed through his head. No, said Naruto. "Get off me," he said, as Dark Naruto was blown away. Naruto got to his feet. It was then that he saw an orb in the center. A white orb is power. He started to walk towards it. Dark Naruto appears. He stabbed Naruto right in the stomach. But yet Naruto still kept on walking. He ripped Naruto's arm off, tearing it right out of the socket. But yet Naruto kept on walking. "Stop!" Dark Naruto said as he impaled Naruto from behind, piercing through his stomach, piercing through his chest. He tore Naruto's other arm off. But yet Naruto kept on walking. He shattered Naruto's knee. Naruto dropped as he crawled. He sliced Naruto's legs off, but he still crawled. using his torso to crawl. As he kept on moving, Dark Naruto could not go any closer. Stop! He screamed as a bright light was keeping him away. As Naruto moved, his eyes looking deep into the white core, before he reached out and swallowed it. Boom! The entire dimension went away. As Naruto blinked, to realize he was just drifting there in space. His entire body was not visible, because his body was still reforming completely. Light was covering him as golden light, nothing but gold. As he then raised his hand, as it started to be shown, he looked at the strange markings, gold markings running down, going from his fingertips toward his shoulder. His chest, there was 20 commas on it, 20 megatama, and 20 in his back as well, all fitting like a tattoo. His hair was blonde, completely blonde, bright blonde like the sun. As he was in nothing but white pants, his chest was fully exposed. He was wearing nothing on his feet, but his eyes were the most shocking. They were glistening, all colors at once, all single colors. As Naruto looked around, he then looked towards Mom. As Kaguya stood there, the woman had a smile on her face. Truth be told, she loved Naruto more than she loved the others. It was not anything too, drastic, but Hagoromo always fight against her, as the both of them didn't see the world the same way. And Hammer always just kept to himself, and always following Hagoromo as well. But Naruto, he loved his mother, as he was always happy to show her the things that he found out, things that he could do. And he was the same like her, the both of them had the same mindset. Naruto moved forward and hugged her. As she hugged him back, she had cried that day when he was gone. Yes, it would seem wrong that the powerful Isshiki Kaguya had cried, but she cried when he was put into a coma and she could not wake him herself, as she had feared the worst. She did not even see him woke up back, because she was already sealed away. What happened, she said. She looked at him. I could feel your power for a long time, but I was still sealed away, she said. It's all over now, said Naruto, because you're free. As he smiled wistfully. His smile was just so light. He was the only one to first smile when he was born. Instead of the other two crying, he smiled. As he was just different, he always was. I failed you, she said. I couldn't. Don't, said Naruto. You had nothing to do with anything. You didn't fail me. I was the one that failed you because I was not in the right state of mind to release you from that prison. And I'm sorry. Can you forgive me, he said. She held on to her boy as she just hugged him. The boat. Beings just drifting in space. You saved me, didn't you? I thought everything was real back then, but it was just a dream. I couldn't just leave you to be stuck in there, she said. I need to see you. I need to know that you're okay. As Naruto smiled at that, you've changed so much. You've gotten so strong. Far stronger than any of the other Isuskis. Than everyone, she said. You're like a god. What happened while I was gone? Many different things, said Naruto. But first, there's something I need to do. What's that? Naruto looked towards the sun. It was over towards the distance. She looked towards him as he looked at his palm. Naruto-kan, what are you thinking? She asked. I'm going up against death. Wait, the Shinigami death? Yes, said Naruto. Are you crazy? He will take your soul, and it will be... Shh, said Naruto. I know that you're worried, but I promise you, I'm not going anywhere. I'll win. She saw determination in his eyes. What do you need me to do? She said. Cheer me on, said Naruto. As he was gone, Kaguya stood there as she saw him appear a distance away with her Byakugan. He stood right in front of the sun. His body was completely unaffected. as he held out his hands, as he started to absorb. The next thing Kaguya knew, everything went black, and she was gone. She reappeared somewhere different, in a grassy field. In front of her, food, a lot. And she didn't know what just happened, but did the entire universe just went dark? She didn't know where she was. There was a note there waiting for her. "I'll be back soon, mother," the note said. As she was confused, she looked down towards the food, and she poked at it. She'd never seen food like this before. But what exactly did Naruto can do? Why did everything went black? It was like the entire universe had went out. Meanwhile, the Shinigami was confused because the last thing he saw was Naruto fighting Isshiki, and then nothing. He could not enter the mortal realm to see Naruto, and he could not see him through his all-seeing eyes. It was then that he felt it. The souls that he had condemned in the world of the dead, the underworld, started to scream. Their souls that were supposed to stay here for eternity started to get purged. They were burned, they were incinerated as someone stepped in his realm. But this person was so hot. His body literally was on fire. As he walked, the ground burned. The sky burned as steam came from the air itself. As Naruto did the unthinkable, he absorbed the goddamn sun, adding on his already immense power. Naruto was no longer a human. He was nothing of the sorts. Past deity, he was something different to absorb the sun. His body be able to take all that energy. The literal sun. The sun that lit up the entire place. The sun. It was just immense. But it was not all that he took. He absorbed all the cosmic energy in the cosmos. He sucked the air dry. That is why Kaguya saw darkness. Because Naruto sucked everything. Planets were destroyed in seconds. Solar system collapsed. Naruto absorbed it all. It was then that Shinigami felt it. As somehow Naruto was able to block his sensory out to the universe. How was that even possible? "Hey there," said Naruto. You could not even see him. His body was not visible to the eye of even a Shinigami, because he had transcended a normal body. He had turned into the peak of gods. The gods above gods. The being above being. The Shinigami stepped away in absolute fear. Power that he has never felt before bestowed in front of him. And the Shinigami laughed. Yes, he did. Not out of fear, but out of just raw surprise. "You human. I can't even say that anymore. You've done the impossible. You've done something I never thought that you were capable of doing. And I know right here and now. And you know as well that I can't beat you. You've become a being past even me." "How?" The Shinigami said, his voice. As Naruto could hear him on a normal level. At first, his voice was screeching to any human ears. But Naruto could comprehend and see what the Shinigami was. He didn't actually think it would work. A matter of fact, he thought he was gonna die. At one point. But he did it. Because of the 10 tails and the other Susukis, his body had gotten the strength to do what he needed. And after sucking the cosmos, sucking the cosmic energy, he was able to absorb the sun. Yes, he did. "What have you become?" the Shinigami said. "I don't know," said Naruto. "I don't know exactly what I am right now. But that doesn't matter. I need you gone. Because you're the only thing preventing me from gaining what I truly want." The Shinigami looked at Naruto before he raised his staff in the air. It was a Reaper staff. One single touch of this could reap anyone's soul. It doesn't matter how strong you are now. I won't just go down like that. "Oh, I know," said Naruto. "But you see, it doesn't matter." Naruto raised his hand. A single snap of his finger. The Shinigami felt strange. He dropped his cloak, fluttering as he did. What did you... As the Shinigami dropped towards the ground, as Naruto stepped forward, I transcend you. This is no longer up for debate. Goodbye, said Naruto. Golden lines started to surround the Shinigami over his face and his arm and his staff. The thing tried to shake it off, raising the power of the dam of death, but nothing did worked. As Naruto's eyes simply pulsed once, those eyes that were unseen in the midst of nothing but pure light. Boom! The Shinigami exploded. By a single snap, the god of death was powerful, but not powerful enough to face off against a being that had absorbed all of his counterparts that he faced off already. Naruto literally sucked all the life from the planets around him back in the universe. There was nothing left. All the other Otsutskis, they were gone. All the other beings on the planets, they were gone. As him and Kaguya was the only thing left, the old gods had left this dimension. They had left this place a long time ago. As a universe, it was not the only place out in existence. As Naruto could see it now, he could see literally everything. A part of him did not feel anything because it was not human anymore. His mind felt hollow and empty, and he knew that he couldn't ever feel the same way he felt for the girls. That is why he knew what he had to do. As Naruto took in a deep breath, all of the darkness, all of the underworld, he absorbed it. The darkness mixing with his light. Perfect balance. A yin and yang symbol appeared. Around Naruto, 10 of them, they were hovering in the air like an orb. As Naruto was gone, Kaguya looked up as there was some food over her face. She had to admit it was amazing. Naruto? As Naruto was standing there, but she could not see him because he wasn't exactly there. It was just a light. Mother, he said, his voice sounding empty and hollow as he spoke. It's over, said Naruto. What now? She asked as she looked at him. You were to be hailed as a queen, said Naruto. And I'm going to ensure that happened. And you're going to also get to meet your grandchild. My grandchild? She said. As when he spoke, there was no happiness in his tone. Are you okay? Don't worry. I'll solve that soon enough. With that, she felt something as the glow hold on to her before she was gone. It was then that she reappeared in the midst of space. As Naruto raised his hand that was just light, before he clenched it, and a new sun appeared. A literal sun just came in. Kaguya was shocked at the immense amount of power that her son was showing, as she knew that he wasn't human in any word of a sense anymore. He was half before, but he was not anymore. As Naruto raised his hand, before a small ball appeared that he released. That small ball started to increase and increase and increase and increase. He then released 100 other balls as they spread everywhere. They increased as Naruto recreated the universe in his image. Planets all around, they were created. Several lights emerged from Naruto's body and went off. A form of him that will also rule over those planets. To make everyone in the solar system, everyone in the universe knew that he controlled everything. Come, mother, he said. As Kaguya was led down towards the new earth that was created, the both of them appear on the empty place. Walls, stones, water. Naruto did everything with just a single thought. As she looked towards him, he raised his hand as the ground started to tremble. The ground then rise. Buildings, palace, everything started to create in front of her eyes as she watches a large tower. It seemed to be going straight up to the sky. It was created. Towns, villages, all around. but it was one. He created one large village that had everything inside. Hundreds of homes, maybe thousands. If you would go inside, you would see that it had everything. All of the necessities. Everything was created within seconds. With just his thought as his eyes were closed, while you could not see them. Buildings, towers, everything was created. Lighting, phones, everything. After all, the Isshiki Empire was advanced than everything else. So now everything was created. A new moon was created out in space. Everything. Trees sprouted everywhere. Buildings. Everything was created in a single second. A world that only had one village. One giant village that could hold everyone that he simply... And like that, people started to appear. It was like time itself was reversing. Mito blinked as she looked around confused. And she didn't understand. What's going on? Mito? She turned and she saw... Sasuke? Sasuke was standing right beside her. What's going on? To the voice. Mito's eyes widened. Pervisage, she said. Jiraiya checked himself over. Wasn't he dead? Hey, what the hell's going on? Said Snatty. And she looked around confused. But there was no other Kages. Gaara did come back though. But Tishikage and the Raikage and the Mizukage was gone. And Kiri ninjas were still not there. But everyone that was there before the battle started, the battle that ended all. Well, except for a few. What Naruto did was search the hearts of the people. He dived into their hearts to find the ones that he wanted to bring back. That he would bring back. Hundreds upon thousands, millions, billions of people came back. But it should be more, but some of them were not back from the dead. It was then that Mito looked over. Who are you? She said. As she looked towards Kaguya. Everyone then noticed the light. Some of them couldn't see because they were far behind. They should not be able to see it, right? But they could. As they were wondering if they had the Byakugan or something. But it was not that. It was Naruto was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. He was a being above comprehension that your mind could not understand. As Haku walked out of the crowd, Mito rushed over as she hugged her friend tight. You're back. As she smiled, as Haku smiled back, all of them were starting to mumble until a scream appeared in the sky. People of Earth, my name is Naruto Isshiki, and I am your god. As all of them knew the voice. This time things will be different. I've brought you all back to life, giving you a second chance. All of us will live in one village. I have searched your heart and your souls. The ones that could accept this change have been brought back, but the ones that could not, they will stay dead. The world has changed and there is nothing that any of you can do about it. Because all of your power pale in comparison. I'm a being above comprehension right now. And that I will stay and that I will be. But I will be a merciful God. But you will bow down to your queen, your queens, and your king, and your lord. That is a rule that you all must follow. There will be no exceptions, no talk against. Or it will be annihilations. Your soul will not go to the pure world. I will just take it away from you. And you will be gone for the rest of eternity. I've seen in your hearts and soul that you all can accept this new change. So do accept it. You all have something to live for, I can see. Either your family, your loved ones, or the people that you will come to love. Do not waste a second chance. As he vanished off the screen, people started to mumble amongst themselves. Footsteps could be heard as Kaguya turned as someone rushed up to her. More than one. 3 girls were there. A panting Karen was behind. Oh, they're fast, she said to herself. Where's Naruto? Where is he? Said Yujito. I'm right here. Gorin blinked. You're a light? What's going on? Said Teiwaya. Naruto raised his hands to the sky, not that they could see. As the light started to suck into his core, his blonde hair came out as it fluttered behind him. All of the cosmic energy, all of the sun energy that he absorbed, went into a small ball, a seal, that was surrounded by a box that was locked in another box. As Naruto held it in his palm, he then vanished. Naruto reappeared in a dimension where there was no one or nothing around. There was a pedestal in the center. As he placed the small box down, before vanishing as he reappeared, back in his form, when he first absorbed all the power from Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and Jigen, and the 10 Tails. As he was back in that form, he was instantly tackled down to the ground by a happy Ujito, followed by the others. She was the first one to plant a kiss right on his lips. She was shoved away, not too hard because she was pregnant, by Gurren, who kissed him back. Gurren was kicked away by Teiwaya, as they all kissed him. As Naruto laughed, stopping them in their small fight. There's enough of me to go around, he said. But I'm sure that my mother doesn't like this scene very much. Mother? Said Yujito as she looked up. All of them did. Kaguya stood there, her eye twitching. And tell me, what are you girls doing, my son, she said, as she had a snarl on her face. The three girls backed away in a fright, as this woman seemed rather scary. As Naruto laughed as he sat on the grass, footsteps could be heard as Gaara, Tsunade, Mito, Sasuke, and a few others came over, clan leaders and clan head, as they all looked towards Naruto. Mito narrowed her eyes as Naruto got to his feet. He walked up to her. Slap! She slapped him right across the face before she hugged him, his hands slowly. Went around and hugged her back. And then came the waterworks. She cried. She cried long and hard as Naruto held on to her gently before he phased right through her, leaving behind an astral form of himself to hold her as she cried in his arms. He stopped in front of Sasuke. Your brother didn't want to come back. He wanted to pay for his sins of killing his clan. You've grown and changed over the years, Sasuke. It's now up to you to make your clan what it is in the future. That responsibility fall on your shoulders. As Naruto walked past Sasuke, he stopped in front of Gaara. Sorry for killing you, he said. He was mellowed out and calm. The reason why Naruto was so calm was because he saw it. He saw the entire universe in a whole. And he knew that everything was marvelous out there, but beyond everything there was nothing. Beyond light there was darkness. So having no one and having nothing was a life that he couldn't understand. That is why he brought these people back. That is why he was talking so calmly. He would be a merciful God, as long as he didn't step out of line. He stopped in front of Tsunade, who clenched her fists. As Naruto looked over to the side, hundreds upon hundreds of safe bottles that were stacked in case could be seen. For hurting you. Bit of apology, Kif, he said. Tsunade's eyes went wide. And you're not gonna rule over us like some tyrant. You said to yourself you're gonna be a merciful God, she said. Because we can't exactly hurt you in any way. Yes, said Naruto. She slapped him over his shoulder. Well then, Brett, I forgive you, she says. She walked off, going off to the sick. Besides, Jiraiya was back. And everything seemed a lot better. And screw paperwork, she thought to herself. As Naruto walked over to Jiraiya, I see in your heart that you had a hard time accepting this. But now, there is no more war. No more chaos. The world will evolve and change. Using our abilities to help grow, build, change things. There are still a lot of jobs out there. Still a lot of things to do. We can evolve the world in a modern society. I'll need your help, all of you, to do that. If you work with me and not against me. Jiraiya looked at Naruto as he just looked deeply into his eyes. Huh. You look like someone who has been through more than enough. But this world is different and new. You always wanted peace, said Naruto. Now we have it. Do you not want it? Well, I guess it's better, said Jiraiya. So yeah, screw it. Why don't we see how this works out? As Naruto walked past him, she tried to step back, but he appeared behind her. I'm sorry. She did not look up at him, as Haku just looked down. I know I hurt you a lot. And I apologize, he said to her, his voice calm. He had a small smile on his face. I just couldn't accept it because back then, I was having a fight with myself saying that I'm not Otsutsuki Naruto or I'm not Naruto Uzumaki. And I wanted to get rid of all of Naruto Uzumaki attachments, so I pushed you away. And for that I'm deeply sorry. You can hate me for how long you want, but no, Haku. I love you. And I'll always love you. You're my first kiss. The first person I ever loved this way before. She started to sniffle as she looked up. She looked at him. I'm gonna need some time, she said. He reached forward as he planted a kiss on her forehead. Take as much time as you need. As he started to walk forward, only for her to grab his hand. As he paused and looked at her. Thank you, she said. He nodded as he started to walk towards the people and spoke to them. Like a messiah, a god. As Yujito looked towards Mito, Mito was smiling gleefully as she looked towards Yujito's belly. Before, she then turned her head towards... Hey, who are you? She said. She looked towards Kaguya. I'm Naruto's mother. Kaguya never really liked humans. But her son was... well, the gods of these humans. And like you said, she was a queen. And plus she had a grandson to look forward to. Kaguya only wanted to use the people of Earth so that she could create the White Zetsu to help her fight off against the Otsutsukis. But now that they were gone and she had her son, she had two others, but she was sure that Naruto did not revive them or whatsoever what he did to them. There was a lot that he needed to catch her up on, but she was sure that this would just be perfect. Time skip. 15 years later, as the bustling streets of the Otsutsuki Empire, the only empire in the entire world, they had some subcontinents here and there, but this was the main empire. Luxurious cars were driving on the road. The place had really advanced over the years. Telephone structures, everything has changed. In a time of peace, the Ninja Academy was not even a thing anymore. Just normal school. Those who wanted to become ninjas, but there was no more a point because there was no more school. After all, given the fact that there was no more missing ninjas, no more war that was gonna cause chaos and destruction. There was small scuffles here and there, but nothing too advanced. Nothing that would Wrath the god to step into. There was still a strong police force that governed over the entire empire, that were Naruto elite guards, to make everyone stay in line, to not do anything out of the way and stupid. But everyone knew that the world was owned by Naruto Otsutsuki, and none of them could change that. But it was better than the first regime, because peaceful. Children could go all about in all type of nights and come back home safe. That was how peaceful the place was. As we escaped to the beach area, it was just like his vision. As Naruto was lying down in the sand, he was lifting his stomach up and down because there was a child on his stomach. The youngest of his child. She was no more than 3 years old. She was giggling. She had red hair like her mother, Teiwaya. She had onyx eyes. A big grin on her face she had, as she was dressed in her little bat suit. as she plopped down on her father's chest before poking him all over, as it made Naruto laugh. Mito leaped out of the water as she splashed back down, her long red hair flowing behind her. "Wait on me, Mom," a voice said, as a boy was running on top of the water before he dived inside. He had black hair like his father, with a patch of red here and there. His eyes black like his father. He was none other than Itachi Uchiha. Sasuke had named his son after his deceased brother, that wanted to stay in the afterlife to repent for his crimes. At least he was with his family though, in the pure world. As Naruto had sent him there, Itachi did what he did for a mission. "You're not gonna take a swim as well," said the voice, as Sasuke looked down towards his daughter, Sadara. She was putting on sunscreen. "Nah," she said. "I'll stay here with you, Dad," she said, as Sasuke merely smiled at her. His daughter seemed to love him more than his son. His son was just like his mother, hyperactive and always doing things out of the way. Suddenly, there was an explosion to the left, making everyone turn their head, as a grinning boy walked out. "Sorry about that," he said, as his trousers were burned at the edge. "Boruto, what did you do?" said Naruto. I was just testing something out, Dad." "I'm sorry," he said. "No one got hurt," a new voice said. There was a little girl. She had white hair with blue eyes, as Boruto and Millie were the two kids that he had with Haku. Haku didn't take long to change her mind, because she still loved him despite everything, and she wanted to be with him. And yes, she did be with him, and she had two wonderful kids with him, Boruto and Millie. The child on his stomach was named Athena. He also had another boy with Teiwaya as he looked around, as the boy was off in the ocean swimming. He had blonde hair. He had green eyes. A mixture, it seems, as Naruto genes were coming out in all different colored, it seems. The boy was Reika. Teiwaya was the one that named him. He had two children, both Teiwaya, and two children with Haku. The girls were over to the side as they were having a tan. He looked over to his eldest child, as she was doing the same thing. Her name was Tatiana, Tati for short, as she was his daughter that he had with Yujito. He also had a son with her as well, that they called Zeus. Zeus was a rather fiery boy. For example, he started to attack Boruto in a fight, just both of them doing basic taijutsu. As Naruto simply sighed. There was nothing harmful though, but they were quite the handfuls. And also, with Gurren, he had 4 kids, because Gurren had triplets. Yes, on their first try they had triplets, and then they had another kid. You have Akio, Asari, and Astro, and the last boy who came was Maikoto. As Naruto loved all of his children, and they all loved him, because he was a father who could be in one place, more than one place at once. Because his clones didn't seem like clones. If you want to spend more attention with all of them, yes, they didn't seem like clones at all. As Naruto looked over as his mother was over to his side, she was also having a tan. Kaguya has really mellowed out in the couple of years. There's no reason for her to despise or hate humans. Besides, she actually likes some of them, as things were just literally perfect. All of the hardship and the chaos that they went through, as everyone had grown up. Yes, everyone had gotten older. Everyone had started a family. Neji had gotten together with Tintin. Rock Lee had a kid with a girl from the Hinin-san. Gaara ended up with a girl named Matsuri, as he had a young boy who could use Iron Sand. And also, Temari ended up with Shikamaru. Kiba finally ended up with Hinata. Kiba has loved Hinata for the longest time, but things never just... he didn't know how to go about it, but it seemed to have worked out. Choji ended up with a girl from Kumo. Ino also ended up with a guy from Kumo as well, a blonde guy that she seemed to get along with well. Sakura also got married to another, well, civilian. Both of them had 3 kids. A wonderful little family. Everyone had grown, everyone had kids, and everything was just peaceful. Perhaps it was a waste of time fighting Naruto in the past because he saw the world has turned. Naruto couldn't get finish his thoughts as the world tear open in front of him. Naruto's eyes literally turned murderous. Mito leaped out of the water. As everyone came back on the shore, the water started to suck into the vortex in front of them before it stopped. As Naruto wondered who the hell this was. As who possessed this kind of power to... What the hell? Naruto felt it. Someone was ripping into his dimension. It was then that someone stepped out. Naruto blinked as he wondered if he was confused or saying things, because this person looked kind of like him. So you're the Naruto of this universe, aren't you? Huh. Well, I gotta say, you're one of the stronger ones. Who the hell are you? Said Naruto as he got to his feet. Dad? As Naruto put the child behind him, he smiled. It's gonna be fine, he said. Look, I'm not here to start anything. My name is also Naruto. You're... What? Different reality. You must have known that, right? Yes, of course I do, but I never saw another reality of myself. Because he's messing with you. Who's he? Anime King, damn it! Who the hell is Anime King? Said Osusuke Naruto. Look, I came from a universe where I'm a mage. I'm a godly mage, as he put it. As the mage Naruto stepped forward before he reached up and snapped his finger. Osusuke Naruto blinked twice. What did you... Just look. It was then that Osusuke Naruto saw it, realities. Different realities of himself. What is this? You. We will need you. You are... If. Or perhaps stronger than me. I don't know, but your power is great. What the hell is going on? Osusuke Naruto said. There's this fiend out there. His name is Anime King. He's been writing all of this. It's been what? Yes. He's been writing all of this. I've been gathering all the Naruto universes. Going to them to find them to ask for their assistance in defeating him once and for all. He's strong. The power that we hold is just a joke to him. That is why we need to combine our efforts to fight him and take him down. To make him stop this. He's messing with all of our lives. Can't you see it? As Osusuke Naruto blinked, as he saw he was connected to everything around him that was going up into the sky, into this strange dimension that he couldn't pinpoint. You see, don't you? He's writing this story. We are both gods, but he's a different kind of breed. He's some kind of force that I can't comprehend. And where is he? Asked Osusuke Naruto. I don't exactly know. I've been there once though. It was a strange place where I heard strange cars and dogs and all that. But next second I was blinked back out of that reality. And I can't enter it once again. That is why I need your power. I need your help to do this. If we don't take him down, he's gonna continue to do this. Play us and play our life. And control us. He's put us through so much just for his damn enjoyment. He needs to be stopped. How do we stop him? Osusuke Naruto said. By pulling our power together. The sky rumbled. As it split. It was then a bright light came down. Fools. Mage Naruto blinked. You, he said. Yes, me. I heard you've been looking for me. You know, I think I made you a bit too strong, giving you sentience of the real world. It was none other than the man himself, Anime King. You think you can defy me, boy? A simple flick of his wrist as Osusuke Naruto dropped to his knees, coughing up blood, along with Mage Naruto. Do not join his pity party. He's not worth it. None of you can comprehend what I possess. Well, this story is coming to an end very soon, so won't waste my time here. With that, Anime King was gone. As all of Naruto's children rushed over, he kept on bombarding with questions if you okay or not. As he told them he was fine. You see what I mean? Said Mage Naruto. Yeah, but I felt it. Yeah, I felt it too. It was like there was no end to its power. But he's making some ridiculous strong Naruto out there. Powers that we can use to defeat him. His own imagination is gonna be his downfall. Are you with me? As Mage Naruto raised his hand, Osusuke Naruto grinned at that. This was gonna be a challenge. And he rather liked a challenge after all. In a time of peace, there hasn't been someone to test him. He loved the peace, but a battle would suit him nicely. I'm gonna keep on searching the universe, finding all the strongest. Once we have enough power, we will face him, and we will kill Anime King once and for all, to stop him from messing with our lives. As Osusuke Naruto nodded, "Enough!" a voice said, split in the sky. "I own this story, and I say when it ends." Mage Naruto vanished. Coward. As Anime King looked down towards them. "All this time you've been playing me. Right in my life." "Yes," said Anime King. As Osusuke Naruto looked up. "And this, what now?" "Well, let your boy there continue his search. Join him if you want. A part of me don't really care, but it's not like you win." "You're rather cocky, aren't you, Anime King?" said Osusuke Naruto. "More than cocky. So do all you have to do. I'll be waiting for the challenge to come and face me, to see if you can defeat me. You call yourself gods. You think you have the power to comprehend what I am, but you have no idea. You just wait, Anime King. We'll be coming for you. After all, I like a challenge. Oh, I know. I created you after all. And that's it." And yeah, I end that storyline. Because that story came to an end. And it's finally over, guys. Yes, it seems that they're going to try to fight me in the end. But do they really believe they can handle the power that Anime King possess? Fools. All fools. Well, let them try. I relish the challenge. But it's over, guys. Yes. Osusuke Naruto is finally over. Well, until perhaps in the future they gather enough forces to come and face me. We will just have to wait and see. But yes, guys, it's finally over. I just want to thank you all for continuing me on this journey. Thank you for everything, guys. I'm really out of breath here. I just want to thank you all, guys. Go ahead and check out the other what ifs and enjoy. I'll be posting new what ifs for you guys as soon as possible to enjoy, so sit back, relax. See you tomorrow. Coming back soon. Peace.